Story 1. Not having to report where you are going, who you are going to see, when you will be back, or what you are going to do. Story 2. Freedom. You never have to eat just because someone else is hungry or because it is dinner time. You can eat, sleep, pass gas, and sing in the shower because you feel like it. Story 3. You can be Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic without anyone seeing. You can talk back to people on television. You can grin like an idiot and squeal "ee" during a particularly romantic part of your favorite, perfectly respectable work of fiction. You can say, "What the balls?" in a Cockney accent when your keys are not where you left them, and there is no one there to judge you for it. Story 4. Self-awareness. I know exactly what I like and what I dislike. I have had the time to notice this about myself while cooking and watching various things. Story 5. Sleeping well because no one is tossing and turning, snoring, or getting up earlier than you to interrupt your sleep. Story 6. Being able to do whatever you want and be wherever you want. Eating whatever you want without having to consider another person. Leaving a mess if you do not feel like cleaning it up right away. Going to the bathroom with the door open. I could continue describing more examples. Story 7. Not having to put up with anyone's nonsense. I would rather barricade myself in a shed than listen to people complain and moan about every single thing they can think of. Story 8. The level of introspection you are able to engage in without external validation or diminishing. The real you will resurface, and you can genuinely move forward. Story 9. No drama to get into unless others see you are too calm and decide it bothers them and they need to intrude on your peace. This happens to me more than I care to enumerate. Story 10. For me, it is the peace I have. It is quiet and I love it. Also, being able to do what you want when you want. Story 11. Acting completely in your own self-interest, not in a deeply arrogant or selfish way, but in a strictly shallow and literal sense where you do not have to consider anyone else's feelings or desires while making a simple decision. For example, if you want to have a snack and choose to eat peanut M&Ms, you eat peanut M&Ms. However, if you are in a relationship, you must be mindful that your significant other might be allergic to peanuts. In that case, you have to eat regular M&Ms. While snacking, you may feel resentful because you want the crunchy, nutty peanuts to accompany the sweet chocolate and crispy shell, but you cannot because her throat may swell up and she may stop breathing. Story 12. Not having to plan around other people's day, such as what to make for dinner or asking permission to go out and do something. Story 13. It is fun and peaceful knowing that the only person who knows what you are doing is yourself. When there is no one around, you can concentrate and have clearer thoughts. This is good when you are studying or having some personal time. Story 14. Sleeping in the middle of my own bed. Not having to ask a man for permission like I am a toddler. I do not have to share my money. I do not have to deal with other people's children. I could go on for hours. No domestic abuse. Story 15. Not having a supervisor to answer to about everything I do and everywhere I go. Being able to travel whenever and wherever I want. Story 16. Being able to do what you want when you want without worrying that it will interfere with someone else's plans. Story 17. It saves me from a lot of unnecessary drama. And finally, being able to read a book without getting disturbed feels like heaven on earth. Story 18. I can do what I want when I want, and there is nothing anyone can say or do about it. They do not even know about it. It is great. Story 19. You can spend your time the way you want, and owe no one an explanation for where you go or what you do. I missed that time. Story 20. For me, it is being sober. I hated living with other people so much, and drinking just made it easier. I have been sober for 9 months now. Story 21. You can be as selfish as you want. Everything is done on my time when I want, and I do not have to do anything. Story 22. It says being alone, not living alone or being single. I like being alone on my lunch breaks because it feels like a break. If I am in the staff room, it feels like a staff meeting with everyone venting and talking about work. I would rather sit in my car watching videos or walk around the shops, have a nap, or literally do anything else than be mentally bombarded with someone else's nonsense. Story 23. You do not get dopamine spikes when someone asks about your whereabouts or shows care for you. Therefore, you do not feel abandoned when the person who cares for you is not present. Story 24. I love the freedom of having no responsibilities and being able to do whatever I like. However, I have not been with a woman in about 3 years. I miss the touch of a woman and having someone who truly cares about me. I miss being in a relationship very much. I find it difficult to meet new people and build relationships because I live in a small town. Life is not always easy. Story 25. I lived alone for 5 years and loved it, but I also love my fiancée, and being at home with her is dreamy. Story 26. I can watch whatever I want, and I do not have to share the television. If I want to rewatch the John Wick movies, no one can stop me. Story 27. Improvised life. I have no idea what I will do next, when, or where. I love the Miles Davis life, total improvisation. Many people, maybe most, need the John Philip Sousa life, the marching band music life. Every detail is predicted, ordered, and must fall in line or it just does not work. No one can foil my plans because there is no plan. I contribute wherever I am however I can, but I do not deny myself mentally or physically to conform to someone else's dream of what life should be. Most people will never know what this feels like, but they should. Fulfill your responsibilities, then do what you want all of the time. Story 28. I do not have to consider anyone else. If I want to cook at 1 a.m., I can. If I want to relieve myself in the middle of the day, I can. If I want to have a solo dance party, I can. I have been stuck with my family for 2 weeks with no alone time and almost no privacy, and I am losing it. 5 more days and I will be back to my freedom. Story 29. The only routine is the one you set for yourself. I never enjoyed hearing from ex-partners, "Are you coming to bed yet?" or compromising mealtimes based on somebody else's work schedule. It is necessary, but much appreciated not to have that now that I live alone. Story 30. Not having to share the bed. I miss waking up rested after a full 8 hours. Between me, my husband, and the very clingy dog, I barely sleep anymore. Story 31. You can actually breathe, not having to constantly worry about what they are thinking, not having to worry about what will happen next. It is all just you. You know everything that will happen next because there is no one there to contradict you. Story 32. You are not attached to anyone. Your happiness or sadness is only about you, which you can more or less control or at least endure. Story 33. Scrolling Reddit for hours, then taking a nap for another hour. After waking up, have something to eat and then go back to bed. Story 34. Finding a lot of alone time after a divorce and the total absence of scrutiny or judgment is pretty cool. Want to lie in bed until 3 in the afternoon watching back-to-back Harry Potter movies? Cool. Or wake up at 6 a.m. feeling energetic. I'm doing a whole day hike without any arrangements needed. Just get up and go. It's a trade-off with loneliness, but it's pretty awesome. Story 35. The good thing is that you can do whatever you want with no one to answer to. The bad thing is that you can do whatever you want with no one to answer to. Story 36. Peace and quiet on Saturday mornings. No roommates mess. A pot of coffee and a newspaper. Story 37. I recently realized, partially because I work mostly alone, that when you are alone, you are a culture of one. That means when you are in a group, you may determine your behavior according to that group. The downside is if the group is toxic, like some of the leaders where I work are, you can get sucked in and brought down by that. But being alone, I can forge myself into the person I want to be. When I am in group situations, I stay more self-disciplined and true to who I need to be. Then I am more empowered to be the person I want to be in any scenario. Story 38. The most underrated thing about being alone is finally getting to hang your toilet paper the wrong way without anyone telling you it is wrong. Story 39. No performance, no pressure, just pure mental clarity. You start hearing your own thoughts instead of everyone else's noise. Story 40. Nobody moves your stuff, and you don't have to clean up after anyone. Never run out of hot water before your shower or have to wait because someone else is in the bathroom. Nobody eats the food you set aside for yourself. You don't have to wear clothes if you don't want to. You can make as much noise as you want at any hour of the day you happen to be awake. If you want to go to Portland for a week, you just need to get the time off approved, and there's nobody to argue with or criticize your vacation. Whatever restaurant you like best is the one where you will be having dinner. Never having to pay someone's bills for them because they can't or won't work. The list goes on. Story 41. I can play whatever song I want in the car at any volume. I can skip to the next one at any time. I can dance in silly ways and sing loudly if I want. Story 42. To truly be free, not just from responsibilities or having to explain yourself all the time, but emotionally free. When you are alone, you stop expecting things from people. You learn to detach when necessary, without guilt or drama. There is power in knowing your peace does not depend on someone else's actions or words. It is about having control over your emotions, being able to reflect, and making things right within yourself instead of waiting for someone else to fix them. Being alone teaches you how to stand on your own, how to heal on your own, and how to protect your energy. Story 43. Not having to share a bed, watching whatever I want, and not having to answer to anyone. Being able to cook the meals I want to eat and stay on track with my diet without it being disrupted by an insecure man worried that I am going to leave him when I get the body I have always wanted. I am leaving you for other reasons, and I did. Story 44. If and when my depression hits, it allows me to wallow and be untidy until the cloud passes without having to fight for my right to just be a person. Dishes, laundry, making the bed, those can wait. I am going to stay in my pajamas, stare out the window, and sleep until I wake up and can see color again. Story 45. Not having to listen to someone else's strange noises or tolerate their annoying habits. Story 46. Not having to constantly guess what mood swings you will have to deal with. No testing boundaries. No disappointment from trying to please someone who cannot be pleased because someone else in their past was always more thoughtful. Story 47. I can go from one room to the next without having to explain to anyone where I am going or why. I can go to the kitchen and not have to ask anyone if they need anything. I can pick out my own music or movie at any time. I can sing out loud even if I am not sure of the correct lyrics. Story 48. Do not have children? No responsibility. Have children. Raise them as you see fit without someone criticizing how you do it. Story 49. I will say one thing. It is better to be alone, even if you do not want to be, than to be with or in communication with someone who makes you feel unwanted. Story 50. You have a good mind. Everything is fine, and no one interferes with what you do. You organize yourself as you want. Story 51. No one is there to break or try changing all your quirky rules and systems in your home, for example, where things go, what is and is not gross habits, and when to do chores. Total bliss in my own self-curated mess of a home. Story 52. Not having to drop everything the moment I hear a text message come through. If we go back to being friends, I am going to see if she is okay with texting instead of primarily using Discord. Most of the times I went a long time without replying because I did not get notifications from the app for some reason. Story 53. Not having to discuss mundane day-to-day tasks like what to have for breakfast or which TV show to watch. You just do what you want without considering anyone else. Story 54. It is letting a fart rip that makes your pants fit better, and you are all dishonest for saying otherwise. Story 55. Nobody is watching you. You can pick your nose, fart out loud, make funny faces, and just not have to act normal. Story 56. Not having to explain why you are eating cereal for dinner, wearing mismatched socks, and dancing to songs from 2007. Story 57. You can live comfortably by not wearing anything. There is not much laundry. Whenever you have something to do outside, you wear whatever. Story 58. Standing like the statue of David in the kitchen, eating the best sandwich you have ever made right before you go to sleep. Story 59. Just doing my chores whenever I want to. Peace. Just plain old peace. Like not needing to seem busy because of watchful eyes. Story 60. I generally do not miss anyone nor ever feel alone and can do things at my own pace. I do care about my parents, so I take care of them, but besides that, I love being alone. I dread Saturdays because I force myself to go out and be social, but I hate going out. Story 61. Not having anyone to report anything to can be frustrating. Even a "how are you? What are you up to today?" from the wrong person can be very annoying. Story 62. The peace of mind that no one relies on you every night and that you can choose when to socialize or be alone. Story 63. The feeling of being in a hectic situation but knowing that you have your quiet sanctuary waiting for you at home. Story 64. You get to cherish life with your perspective. Indulge in things that speak to your heart, bringing you a unique contentment. Story 65. A girl once told me that when she was on her own, she would wander around the supermarket on a Saturday morning doing her weekly shopping, see all these loved-up couples arm in arm and think, "I wish that was me." Fast forward 6 months, when she was with a boyfriend, doing her weekly shopping with him, and she would see all those singles walking around with complete freedom and think, "I wish that was me." Relationships are peer pressure. You have to be in one. Otherwise, you're somehow seen as weird. No, don't follow the crowd. Being single gives you many options that you don't have when you're in a relationship. Story 66. The fact that when you are alone with yourself, you can sort out your thoughts and what you want, not your surroundings. Story 67. I went to a concert by myself and it was honestly awesome. Nothing is wrong with friends, but it made me realize that being famous would be very difficult. Story 68. Having a high-stress job and being able to come home and completely shut your brain off is invaluable. There are no mundane conversations with a roommate, no need to have any lights on or curtains open, and no stress about unfinished chores on your days off. Truly, everything about living alone brings me immense peace. As an introverted person living the life of a social butterfly, you definitely have to be more disciplined with your housework, but it is worth it in every way to me. Story 69. The fact that you do not have to accept anyone's nonsense. You will not be interfering with anyone, and no one will be interfering with you. Story 70. You do not have to deal with someone else's poor taste in music, television, decor, or food. I like all the best things anyway. Story 71. There is nothing better than having full conversations with yourself and the freedom to act foolish without anyone seeing. Story 72. It's Friday rice younger affection. Emergency. Kajang perut kanon. Kajang means muscle cramp. Kaki tangon kajang means hand and leg cramps. Jeffrey Archer. Asking himself. Reporting. Understanding what is wrong. I know the issue is with the gangsters. That's why I'm in sleep mode. Then I am going to shower. After shower, I feel angry still about Friday rice younger. Then I am going to the shop to order Friday rice younger because the shape is not perfect and the price is so high. Basically, Friday rice younger is RM4. Neslo Ace is RM4. In total MYR8. Why did I pay MYR 10.50? What is wrong? Meaning of Kaki Tangon Kajong. Hand and leg cramps in Sitapak Gombak. Jeffrey Archer. Story 73. For me, it became about the permission to be happy and meet my own needs. That sounds basic, but being selfish is nice. I had never really experienced it before. Being a long-term monogamous relationship seeker, I never realized how nice it is to just eat what you want without asking what someone else is hungry for. To be able to wear comfortable underwear and not sexy underwear. Story 74. I am single for the first time in almost 7 years. I have been very sad about the idea of being alone, but honestly, these posts have given me some hope and something to look forward to. I am excited to experience this sense of freedom I have not had in many years. My partner was not necessarily controlling, maybe a little bit, but being in a relationship, you are expected to share constantly and do certain things. I am excited to just exist. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.